The next one here is a very popular one as well. This is a philosophical objection. Miracles don't happen. Now, this, in some way, it's a hardy objection because, um, thanks for saying that, Oliver. Talking on Gelsis, I can tell that that's Oliver's. Um, says miracles do happen when Jesus as well. So I would say even more precisely, miracles happen when God is involved. So if you start with the worldview presupposition that God exists, if that's your starting point, then this is not a problem for you at all. It's not an objection for you at all. Miracles can happen. So why would you limit God to doing this? Now, this would, I suppose you could still be a monotheist, like obviously Jewish and Muslim, and believe that this particular miracle didn't happen, but that's not what the objection was. It was that in principle, miracles don't happen. Notice, though, that if you're a theist, miracles happening, not a problem, like I said. But notice, though, some people will say this is a philosophical objection that comes from David Hume in the 17th or 18th century. He says that miracles strain credibility so much that it would be more probable to believe in whatever natural explanation can be given as opposed to some supernatural explanation, no matter how widely attested and credible the sources are and fervently believing the witnesses are. It would be still, despite all that evidence, overwhelming evidence, that it would be more credible to believe in a naturalistic explanation. It's more or less with it. There's some nuance there, and I'm not giving all that nuance according to Hume's objection. And there are actually some variances in the kinds of objections Hume gets, but that's one of them in a nutshell. It would be more believable to believe in a naturalistic explanation over a miracle because miracles are possible. Just not that in principle can't happen, but that they, from an epistemic perspective, that you would never be rationally justified in believing that. Here's what is the problem with objections like that. So many people assume that when they're objecting to miracles, that a miracle is something that is, so you've got the natural world, and then a miracle would be the idea that God would intervene into the natural order, and then like divine interventionism would just change the natural course of events. And of course, this is unbelievable to many people because the natural order is what it is. You wouldn't like suspend gravity. You wouldn't bring somebody back to life, right? What that conception of miracles fails to account for is that on theism, miracles being possible is no inconsistency whatsoever because God is the one who made those natural laws. It's not that God is constrained by the natural laws, and it assumes that God is somehow operating in between the natural laws. No, he's the one who not only invented the natural laws, but holds the natural law in order. He holds all, this whole living and dying thing. We think it just happens on its own, just automatically. No, God holds all of that in place. He sustains existence. Christians have thought this for centuries. He sustains existence and beings in their very existence. So on this account, then a miracle, this is just misunderstanding what miracles are. They aren't a stoppage of the natural order or the natural laws, and there's somehow an exception to the natural laws, because it's not an exception to say that God is acting once, but he wasn't acting these other times. No, God was acting the entire time, so it's not an exception to God's actions at all.